Minnesota Congressman Pete Stauber, representing the northeastern part of the state. It includes Duluth, Minnesota. Congressman, welcome. I know you were listening into that conversation there. Just wanted to get your reaction as we're learning more about the timing of Governor Walz's retirement from his military service.
Well, I think first off, retired Command Sergeant Barron's said it very well. It's stolen valor. You know, we honor and cherish and respect everyone that wore the uniform. But in this case, Tim Walz lied to Minnesota and he lied to America. He did not retire as a Command Sergeant Major. The Minnesota National Guard has told us all that now. And he didn't go to war. He got caught lying, saying he went to war. And that's stolen valor. Okay, the service, recognizing his service, good, very good. But he lied. That's the whole part of the conversation here. He lied to advance his political career, and every service member should be extremely upset. This is the definition of stolen valor should have Tim Walz's face on it. This is exactly what he did. Not about his service. He lied about where he was in retirement, and he lied about going to war.
Yeah, one of the biggest points, too, we weren't able to get to, but we'll get to it now with you, is a quote that Walz has said on the campaign trail, or perhaps earlier in his political career, excuse me. He says, quote, "We can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at." Walz was deployed in the Guard, and he was sent to Italy. But again, this according to a spokesperson, I believe we have that sound, but again, he did not deploy to Iraq. He did not deploy to Afghanistan in any combat zone. Watch.
Well, listen,
I spent 25 years in the Army, and I hunt. We can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
I spent 24 years in the National Guard, some of that full time. I was an artilleryman. I deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. My battalion provided base security throughout the European theater from Turkey to England in the early stages of the war in Afghanistan. And that same battalion is now in Iraq.
The National Guard gave me purpose. It gave me the strength of a shared commitment to something greater than ourselves.
He was also, by the way, introduced in that moment in Philadelphia when he came out as the Harris Walz ticket for his very first time as Command Sergeant Major, despite retiring below that rank. Congressman, your thoughts listening back to this? And remember, the American people don't really know a lot about Governor Tim Walz.
well, listen, in the riots of 2020, Tim Walz sat for 3 days and let Minneapolis burn to the ground. And then when he was called on it afterwards, two things. He said those rioters had, quote, this is Tim Walz, righteous anger to do that, burn Minneapolis down, billions of dollars. Tim Walz says that was, quote, righteous anger. And then when he was called upon and asked why he had the deer in the headlights look for 3 days, Tim Walz described the Minnesota National Guard as, quote, a bunch of 19-year-old cooks, end quote. That's from Tim Walz. That's what he feels about the Minnesota National Guard. And I have to tell you, I'm married to a service member that put almost 24 years in the Minnesota Air National Guard. My wife is the first female command chief in the state of Minnesota's history, and she's also an Iraq war veteran. Every veteran is very upset on this stolen valor. And it's unacceptable. And we honor and cherish and love our members of the National Guard, all of them, and our active duty military. Every moment of their service, we cherish and honor. But this is stolen valor. He lied, and that goes to his character.